Hello, babe. How are you doing today? I hope you are doing great. If you are new here, I'm Vera, but you can call me V. And I share real life stories that will shock you, break your heart, inspire you, and sometimes make you laugh. So if it's something you love, please subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Before I continue, today's story is the continuation of the last story I posted. So if you've not watched that one yet, go and watch it before you watch this one. Today's shout outs go to 6 people. 3 from my previous 2 videos and 3 from my last video that I forgot to mention. They are Beatrice Achampon 7419, Sweetly D86, Justice Opon Kumi, Ama Ayewa, Ora Mary, and December Bay. Thank you so much for the support, babes. I love you. And now, without any further delay, let's get right into it. When I heard the door handle turn, my whole body went still. The door opened slowly. It was him, the husband. He did not rush inside. He stood there for a few seconds, just looking at me. I tried to scream through the mouth guard, but it came out as a weak sound. My lips were already swollen from struggling with it earlier. I could taste dried blood each time I tried to force my mouth open. He stepped fully into the room and closed the door behind him. He did not speak immediately. He looked at the chain on my leg. He looked at my face. He watched me struggle like it was something interesting to him. I shook my head repeatedly, trying to speak, trying to beg. He finally said very calmly, "Struggle if you like. No one will hear you." His voice was not raised. I tried to scream again, louder this time. The sound stayed trapped behind the mouth guard. It only came out as a painful vibration in my throat. He bent slightly, adjusted the chain like he was checking if it was secure, then stood up again. "You saw this place when you entered, right?" he continued. "There is no one around." I kept shaking my head. Tears were running down my face. I did not even realize when I started crying. He looked at me for a few more seconds, then turned and walked toward the door. Before leaving, he switched off the lights. The door shut. I heard something heavy slide into place outside. A lock. The silence returned immediately. Hours passed. I do not know how many. There was no food. No one came back. My lips were cracked. Every movement of the mouth guard scraped against the cuts. The pain was constant. I tried pulling at the chain again, this time harder. I wrapped both hands around it and dragged with the little strength I had. The metal tightened around my ankle. I pulled again. My skin tore, but I did not stop. I kept pulling until the burning sensation became unbearable. When I looked down, I saw blood where the metal had rubbed against me. I lay back against the mattress, breathing heavily through my nose. I don't even know when I fell asleep. I woke up not knowing if it was morning or afternoon. My head was pounding badly. My stomach was empty. I had slept on and off from exhaustion, but the chain around my ankle kept waking me up each time I turned slightly. At some point, I heard the basement door open. My body reacted before my mind did. I tried to sit up quickly. The chain stopped me halfway. It was the wife. She entered quietly and closed the door behind her. She was dressed simply, not like the night I met her at the club. She looked like any normal married woman in her house. She came closer and bent slightly to look at my mouth. Her fingers touched the strap of the mouth guard, checking the padlock at the back of my head. She pressed it as if to confirm it was secure. Then she took out a small white cloth from her pocket and gently wiped the dried blood at the corners of my lips. I quickly raised my hand and grabbed her wrists. She flinched. I tried to speak, but only muffled sounds came out. I pointed to my mouth. I shook my head. I tried to say please through the guard, but it sounded like broken breathing. Tears were running down my face again. She looked at me properly for the first time. I held her wrist tighter and shook my head again, trying to make her understand. She pulled her hand away immediately. "Don't," she said under her breath. I tried again, pointing at the chain, at my mouth, at the door. She stepped back slightly. "Don't make it worse for yourself," she whispered. Her voice was low and controlled. Then she turned and left. The door shut again. The hours dragged slowly. My head felt heavier than before. I lay down because sitting up made me dizzy. By what I assumed was night, I heard the door open again. This time, it was him. He walked in calmly. In his hand was a small black medical kit. He closed the door behind him and placed the small medical kit on a table near the wall. I immediately began shaking my head. I did not know what he wanted to do, but the sight of that box made my chest tighten. He came closer, and without saying anything, he pulled my hands forward and tied them to the metal frame of the bed with a rope. I tried to pull away, but I was already weak. The wife entered quietly and stood near the door. He reached behind my head and unlocked the padlock. For the first time since I woke up in that room, the mouth guard was removed. The moment it left my mouth, I gasped for air. My jaw hurt immediately. My lips felt swollen and torn. When I tried to lick them, I tasted blood. I opened my mouth to scream. Before any sound could fully come out, he pressed something cold and metallic against the side of my neck. "If you shout," he said calmly, "it goes back on permanently." I froze. Tears filled my eyes, but I did not scream. He lowered his hand and picked up a syringe from the kit. I started shaking my head again. "Please," I managed to whisper. He did not respond. He held my arm firmly and injected something into it. I felt the sting, then a slow spreading warmth under my skin. Within minutes, my body began to feel heavy again. My hands felt distant from me. My head grew light. I tried to focus on his face, but it blurred slightly. He untied my hands after he was done. The wife stepped forward with a small plate of food and a glass of water. He placed it on the bed beside me. "Eat," he said. My fingers were trembling as I picked up the spoon. Even chewing felt difficult. My jaw ached from the mouth guard. I swallowed slowly, afraid of choking. The wife stood there watching. I looked at her and whispered, "Please help me." She did not answer. She did not look at me directly. She just stood there, her hands folded in front of her. When I finished the small portion, he picked up the mouth guard again and held it up. "Should I put it back on?" I shook my head no. I stiffened. "Okay, then be a good girl." Then he leaned closer to me and spoke quietly. "Obey, and the chains on your legs also come off soon." He stood up, closed the kit, and walked toward the door. The wife followed him out. The door shut. After the injection, everything started blending together. I would wake up and sleep again without knowing how much time had passed. He began coming at night. I knew it was night because the house above would be completely silent before he came downstairs. He never rushed. He would enter, close the door, and stand there first, watching, waiting for me to react. Sometimes he spoke, sometimes he did not. When he touched me, I tried to push his hands away. I tried to move back as far as the chain would allow, but the sedatives made me weak. My arms felt soft. My strength disappeared quickly. "Don't fight," he would say calmly. "It makes it harder for you." The wife was always there. She just watched as he slept with me. Sometimes I noticed their fingers tighten slightly against each other. Sometimes she blinked too slowly, like she was trying not to focus. One night, when I tried harder to resist, she turned her face away. He noticed immediately. He stood up, walked to her, and grabbed her chain firmly. "Look at her," he said. She did not argue. He forced her face toward me until her eyes met mine again. I saw something in them then, not cruelty, not enjoyment, something closer to fear. After one of those nights, when he finally left the room and the door locked behind him, The wife remained for a few seconds longer than usual. I used the little strength I had to slide off the bed and crawl toward her. The chain dragged loudly behind me. I reached her feet and held the edge of her dress. "You are a woman," I whispered. "Please help me." She looked down at me. For a moment, her face softened, then it hardened again. She stepped back slowly, as if even standing too close to me was dangerous, and left the room without another word. When the door closed, I stayed on the floor for a long time. The wife bathed me every day. I do not know how many days had passed at that point. Time had stopped making sense. She would unlock the chain just enough for me to shuffle to the small bathroom attached to the basement room. She would stand there while I washed, like I was a child who could not be trusted alone. That day, my head was slightly clearer. The injection from the previous night had not completely faded, but I could think. As she helped pour water gently over my shoulders, I decided to try something different. I lied, I said quietly. She paused, but did not look at me. "My parents don't live in the village," I continued. "They live in this city. They will look for me." She resumed pouring water like she did not hear. "I told someone about this house," I continued. "The first night, I sent the person the location." She finally looked at me properly. Her eyes searched my face slowly. "No, you didn't," she said. Her voice was steady, calm. She knew I was lying. She finished bathing me and helped me back to the bed. She locked the chain again without speaking. That night, when he came with the medical kits, she was the one who injected me. I felt it immediately. The injection burned more than usual. Within minutes, the heaviness was stronger. My thoughts scattered faster. My body became weaker than before. As my vision blurred, I heard him say to her quietly, "Increase it." I did not know how long I had left before I could think at all. After the dose was increased, the day stopped having shape. Food, injection, bath, night. That was my life. Sometimes I would wake up and not remember if he had come the night before. Sometimes I would feel soreness in my body and know he had, even if my mind could not hold the memory properly. My body grew thinner. I could see it in my wrists. My cheeks felt hollow when I touched them. Even lifting a small bottle of water felt like effort. The worst part was not knowing the time. Sometimes I wondered if my parents were calling my phone. Then I would remember I did not even have my phone. I have always been difficult with them. If my mom called and I was busy, I would ignore it and not call back. Sometimes I would go 2 or 3 days without returning her calls. If she complained, I would say, "Mommy, I am in school. I am not a child." Now, lying in that basement, I started thinking, do they even know I am missing? Or do they think I am just being stubborn again? The thought sat heavily in my chest. One afternoon, while trying to adjust my position on the bed, I shifted my legs slightly and felt something scratch against my ankle. I bent down slowly. At the back leg of the bedpost, almost hidden near the floor, there were faint marks carved into the wood. I had been sleeping on that bed for days and never noticed. I leaned closer. 2 names were scratched there, small but clear. Alima, Evelyn. The letters were uneven, like someone had carved them quickly with something sharp. I stared at them for a long time. I touched the carved letters gently with my finger. I was not the first person to lie on that bed. And if I had always been careless with my parents' calls, always doing things my own way, then maybe nobody was even looking properly. Maybe somewhere my mom was just angry, not searching. By that time, I had stopped crying every night. I had no strength left. That night felt like the others at first. He came downstairs after the house had gone quiet. The wife followed him and took her usual seat in the chair. My body was already weak from the injection earlier. When he touched me, I tried to push him away out of habit, but my arms had no force in them. He liked control. He liked seeing me try and fail. The wife was watching as usual, her hands resting in her lap. At some point, something changed. I do not know if it was because I was thinner or because I did not fight as much anymore, but I saw her shift in her chair. She stood up slightly, not fully, just enough to show she was uncomfortable. He noticed immediately. "What?" he snapped. His voice was sharp for the first time. She swallowed. "That is enough," she said quietly. The room went still. He stood up slowly and turned toward her. Without warning, he slapped her across the face. I froze completely. She did not fall, but she stumbled back a step. Her hand went to her cheek. He looked at her like she had insulted him. "Sit down," he said. She did not argue. She lowered her hand from her face and sat down again in the chair. Her hands returned to her lap like before. Her eyes were empty now. For the rest of that night, she did not look away again. After he finished and left the room, she remained seated for a few seconds. I looked at her face. She did not look at me. When she finally stood up to leave, her movements were slower. That was when I understood something clearly. She was not protecting him. She was afraid of him. The next day, when the wife came alone with food, I did not beg her to open the door or remove the chain. I waited until she placed the plate on the bed. She looked tired. I spoke softly. "I won't run." She did not respond. "I am already weak," I continued. "Look at me." She glanced at me briefly. I could see she had noticed the weight I had lost, the way my hands trembled, even while holding the spoon. "Just stop the injections," I said. "I won't fight. I won't shout. I promise. I won't try anything." She stood still for a few seconds. "If he finds out," she said quietly, "it will be worse." "He won't," I replied. My voice was barely above a whisper. "Please." She looked at the syringe tray she had brought in with her. Then she looked back at me. For a moment, I thought she would ignore me. Instead, she picked up the tray and walked toward the door without opening it. She paused with her hand on the handle, then turned back slightly. "Eat your food," she said. She left. For the first time in days, my head felt slightly clearer as the evening approached. When I heard his footsteps later that night, my heart started beating fast. He didn't notice I have not had my injection. The second day, she still did not inject me. I started paying attention. The husband left the house during the day. I could hear the faint sound of a car engine from upstairs around what I guessed was late morning. He returned late in the evening, always late. The wife came alone with the food as usual. No syringe again. She unlocked the chain just enough for me to wash. Then she brought me back and locked me up again. She did not speak much. I was there too. I noticed she never locked the basement door until she stepped fully outside. I noticed she always carried the keys in her right hand. I noticed she bent slightly when placing the tray on the bed. The third day, my body still felt fragile, but I could stand without feeling like I would faint. When she came in with the tray, she looked the same as always, quiet, controlled. She bent to place the food beside me. Then she unlocked me. As she was about to take me to the bathroom to wash myself, I moved before I could think too much about it. I lunged forward with all the strength I had left and pushed her hard in the chest. She was not expecting it. She fell backward onto the floor, the tray clattering beside her. The keys slipped from her hand. I grabbed them immediately. For a second, we both stared at each other in shock. Then I ran. My legs shook as I reached the door. My heart was beating so loudly, I thought I would collapse. I stepped outside and turned the key, locking the basement door from the outside. I could hear her moving inside now, calling my name in a low, urgent voice. I did not wait. I stumbled toward the stairs leading up, holding onto the wall for balance. My body was still weak, but my mind was clear enough to know this was my only chance. I started climbing. My legs were shaking as I climbed the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. I had not used them properly in days. I held onto the railing to steady myself. My heart was beating so fast, I could hear it in my ears. When I reached the top, the house was silent. I moved quickly toward the main door. I pulled the handle, locked. I tried again, harder this time, still locked. My breathing became uneven. I looked around for keys, for anything I could use. My hands were trembling too much to think properly. Then I heard it. The sound of a car entering the compound. My heart dropped. For a second, I thought it was him returning early. I almost ran back toward the stairs, but something told me to move forward instead. I turned and ran toward the sound coming from outside. My legs felt unstable, but I forced them to move. Through the front window, I saw the gate opening and a car driving in. It was the driver. The same driver from the first night. He stepped out slowly, closing the car door behind him. He looked up and saw me standing inside the house. For a moment, he did not react. I started waving at him frantically. Tears were already running down my face. "Please," I mouthed through the glass. He stared at me longer than I expected. There was recognition in his face. He walked toward the door and unlocked it calmly. When the door opened, I stepped outside immediately. "Please," I said again, my voice shaking. "Please take me out of here." He looked past me toward the house, then back at me. Without asking questions, he said quietly, "Enter." I got into the back seat. My whole body was trembling. He drove toward the gate and opened it without rushing. As we moved away from the house, I finally felt like I could breathe. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. Then he said, without looking at me in the mirror, "You are not the first." As the car moved further from the house, my body would not stop shaking. I wrapped my arms around myself, but it did not help. I kept looking back through the rear window, expecting to see another car following us. "You knew?" I asked him finally. He did not look at me directly. He nodded once. The answer hit me harder than I expected. "You knew what he was doing?" I asked again. He kept his eyes on the road, still not saying anything. My chest tightened. "Take me to the police right now." He shook his head immediately. "You don't understand who he is." "I don't care," I said. "Please, just take me." He exhaled slowly. "If you go to the police, they will call him. Before anything happens, you will be back there." I did not know if that was true, but the way he said it made my stomach drop. "You can't tell anyone," he continued. "That man will look for you." I stared at him. "Why are you helping me then?" He did not answer. We drove in silence for a while. The road became busier. Shops appeared, people walking, normal life. He slowed down suddenly and pulled over on a crowded street. He reached into his pocket and brought out some folded notes. He handed them to me without turning around. "Disappear, you hear?" he said. "Disappear." I stared at the money in my hand. "Go home, change your number. Don't talk about that place to anyone." My throat tightened again. "What about the other girls?" He did not respond. I stepped out of the car slowly. My legs felt weak. Before I could say anything else, he added, "You are lucky to be alive." Then he drove off. I stood there on the roadside, holding the money, watching the car disappear into traffic. By the time I got back to campus, 2 weeks had passed. I did not go straight into the hostel. I stood outside the gate for a while, watching students moving in and out like nothing had happened. When I finally entered, I saw my reflection in the glass door of the common room. I did not recognize myself immediately. My face was thinner. My eyes looked older. The gown I was wearing hung loosely on my shoulders. I had not even changed out of it. I had nothing else with me. When I walked, there was a slight limp. My ankle still hurt where the chain had been. 2 girls looked at me and whispered to each other. Portia was coming down the corridor when she saw me. She stopped completely. For a few seconds, she just stared. "What happened to you?" she asked. "Nothing," I said automatically. She came closer. "Look at you, you are limping." "I sprained my leg," I replied. And you have also lost weight, she said. I wasn't eating well, I replied. She held my arm. Where have you been? I have been calling you. I traveled, I replied. With who? She asked immediately. I looked away. Portia lowered her voice. Your mom came here. My stomach dropped. She came last week, Portia continued. She was asking everywhere. She said you stopped picking your calls and that your phone has been turned off. I did not say anything. She continued. I told her you were closer to Rita these days, so we went to see Rita. My throat tightened. What did she say? Portia hesitated. She said you left with your boyfriend for a short vacation. That where you went has no network. My mom believed that, I asked. She didn't look convinced, Portia said, but Rita sounded very sure. Portia says my face. This is not just a vacation, right? Something happened to you. Tell me. I shook my head. Nothing happened to me. I just need to rest. That was all I could say. That night, I did not sleep in the hostel. I packed quietly and left for home the next morning. When my mom opened the door and saw me, she did not shout. She just held my face. Why are you looking like this? She asked. I could see the alarm in her eyes. You are thinner, and why are you limping? I'm fine, I said. You are not fine. She pulled me inside. My dad looked up from the sitting room. He frowned immediately. What happened? He asked. Nothing, I said again, and walked straight to my room. My mom followed me into my room and sat at the edge of the bed. Who is the boy? She asked quietly. I looked up. What boy? The one Rita said you traveled with, she replied. Is that why your phone was off for days? Why are you traveling with a boy when you should be at school studying? I swallowed. There is no boy. Then why was your phone off? She asked. Do you know how many times I called you? I even thought something happened to you. Something did happen, I thought, but I couldn't tell her. I had a small accident, I said softly. My phone got damaged. I was embarrassed to say anything. What accident? She asked immediately, leaning closer. I sprained my leg, I said. That is why I am limping. It wasn't serious. Her face changed again, this time to worry. You had an accident and you didn't tell me, she said. Do you know how that sounds? I'm sorry, I whispered, and my eyes filled with tears before I could stop it. I am really sorry, Mommy. She pulled me into her arms. You are not a child anymore, but you are still my child, she said. If something happens, you tell me, you hear me. Don't disappear like that again. I nodded against her shoulder. I won't, I said, and this time, I meant it. When she finally left my room, I lay there staring at the ceiling, crying quietly so no one would hear. Later that evening, when my mom went to the kitchen, I took her phone and called Rita. Hello, she said. Why did you lie? I asked. Silence. My mom came to school, I continued. You told her I traveled with a man. What else was I supposed to say? She replied quickly. You were gone. Your phone was off. I thought you traveled with a client, she said. I didn't know it was anything serious. I closed my eyes. My mom was worried. What if something bad had happened to me? I said. And what would you have me tell her? She snapped. That we are doing hookup. That you are with clients. My own parents don't know. I can't destroy myself. That sentence settled heavily in my chest. She was protecting herself. I ended the call. That night, I told my mom I wanted to stay home for the rest of the semester. She looked worried, but she nodded. Of course, she said immediately, you are not going back like this. She did not ask for details. Maybe she was afraid of the answer. I slept with the light on that night. I never told anyone what happened. Sometimes I would stand in front of the mirror and look at my ankle. The faint scar was still there. Months later, I returned back to school. And even now, I do not go out at night. I do not follow anyone anywhere. I do not ignore my mother's calls anymore. If she calls, I answer. I don't do hookup anymore. Even up until today, I still wake up sweating sometimes. Sometimes I would hear a car pass outside the hostel, and sit up immediately, my heart racing. I will check the window, even though I was on the third floor. One night, I was lying in bed and I could not sleep at all. I kept thinking about the house. I still know where it is. If I close my eyes, I can picture the gates, the long quiet road. I kept hearing the driver's voice in my head. You can't tell anyone, he will look for you. But another thought kept pushing itself forward. What if there is another girl there now? What if someone else is chained to that same bed? What if she's thinking the same thing I thought, that nobody is looking for her? Did I do the right thing by staying quiet? If I go to the police, will they even believe me? I have no evidence, no pictures, no proof, just scars that are fading. And what if the driver was right? What if he's powerful? What if reporting him only makes him come back for me? I still have nightmares. Sometimes in the dream, I am back in that basement, but this time, I can hear another girl crying in the dark. Sometimes I wake up feeling guilty. I escaped. I don't know what happened to Alima and Evelyn. I don't know if they are alive. And some nights, when I cannot sleep, I ask myself the same question over and over. Did I do the right thing by keeping quiet? Should I have gone to the police? Do you think I did the right thing? Hey, please, so stay safe out there because things are happening. Hey, what was this man trying to do? Leave your thoughts down below. And she wants to know, do you think she did the right thing? Should she have gone to the police? Leave your thoughts down below. And now, Abi, you know, Dada, this is a judgment-free zone. We listen, we don't judge. So please be kind to her in the comment section. And babe, if you've not subscribed yet, please subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Okay, I'm done. Bye.